the dark side.
Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel, KrazyCries Gaming, and today I'm excited because we're getting into chapter 4, and I know chapter 3 was pretty long and it got exciting, it got bloody, and so chapter 4 should be really good and exciting. So let's just start it up and see what chaos comes to us. The ride up the elevator is tense. I take a series of deep breaths, doing everything I can to stay in control. Amy has gotten back to her feet, but her head is pressed against the elevator wall as she suppresses a series of sobs. I find myself trying to remember the way those creatures looked, but my mind seems to shudder at the effort. I have seen something that is an impossibility, a mockery of what I know is real. This fills me with a terror that dwarfs anything else I have felt since discovering the facility. I try to focus my mind on something else, and that's when I remember that I've just murdered Marcus. I killed Marcus, I say, the thought feeling like jumping into cold water. Had you ever killed anyone before? Amy asks. No. He was going to kill me, she says. I'm sure of it. Probably. Well, thank you, she says, but her tone is unsteady and her face is unreadable. Excuse me. I'm a little raspy today, guys. You'll have to please forgive me for that. But we're gonna go with, of course, just be nice. I mean, I already went through the fact that I can't believe he murdered someone, so I don't need to keep, dwelling on it. There's bigger fish to fry, right? Alright, I guess he deserved it, she says. Her comment hangs in the air for a moment as we wait for the elevator to stop. So, I say, how did you end up here? She gives a nervous chuckle and shrugs. I used to work with the Pentagon. It was some pretty upper echelon stuff that I still can't discuss. I assume this place is even more upper echelon, I said. This place isn't even on the scale, she answers. My other job was a cakewalk compared to this. Then why stay, I ask. Because the money is ridiculous. I have a 13-year-old daughter already talking about Harvard. You do the math. I don't really care if she has any other kids. I don't really care about Harvard. What do I not care less about? Well, we have monsters coming after us, and we're talking about Harvard and her kids. Kids are more important, I guess. Any other kids? No, just the one. Her dad split on us when she was 3. I never remarried, so no siblings for her. I may have only gotten one, but the one I got is amazing. Amy pauses before continuing softly. What if I never see? Her voice breaks off. The word's too terrible to say. Her eyes fill with tears. The elevator comes to a stop, the slight ding of it interrupting the moment. Amy hastily wipes her eyes, and we waste no time in getting back inside the command center. So we'll probably see the command center again. Yep. And here we are. I ready the rifle suddenly, certain that there are more of those creatures waiting for us in the hallway of the second level. But the way is clear, allowing us to haul ass to the command center. Once again I find myself staring at the screen that shows my ruined work site. Screen that shows my ruined work site. Okay, Amy says, typing commands rapidly. It can't be that hard. I keep peeking over my shoulder, my senses feeling as if the monsters are sneaking up on us, mere inches away. I then think of Dennis and wonder how he is faring back on level 3. Is he safe? I look back to the screens and see that Amy has finally found what she's looking for. A prompt on the screen says, "Override of hangar doors and all level 3 locks requires clearance code." Amy types in a number with shaking fingers and the screen goes black for a moment. The moment the words "Override confirmed" come up on the screen, Amy jumps up from the chair and heads out of the room. "We have to be quick," she says. "We have exactly 20 minutes to open those hangar doors." I'm not going to ask. Let's get moving. What happens in 20 minutes? Obviously, they probably go into shutdown or something. So let's get moving. Excuse me. I follow her out of the command center and bound back down the hallway towards the same elevator that brought us here. Amy punches the elevator button and the doors slide open. "We're taking the same elevator back to the biochem room?" I ask. "Those creatures are still down there." "It's the only way back down," she says. "The other way is blocked by those hydraulic doors we pulled. Hopefully the creatures left." Hopefully. Now I see the error of my ways of pulling the hydraulic doors from earlier. Well, anyway, let's get on. Neither of us say anything else. We share a look of immense dread. We step back into the elevator and head back down to the biochem room on level 3. Oh boy. Getting those hands warmed up for some blood. Keep your eyes peeled. As the elevator doors open, we peer out, looking to see if the creatures are still in the area, but it's all clear. When Amy looks to me, her eyes are clear and strong. "Marcus wasn't entirely wrong," Amy says as we start walking back toward the hangar doors. "About what?" I ask. "About how I'm partially to blame for this." "You're right, you are, or why would you be to blame?" Why would you be to blame? Some of the things we do here, it's scary. We should have known that one day something like this would happen. "Everyone here with knowledge of what goes on in level 3 is to blame," she says. "It's a highly advanced research facility," I say, "doing amazing but risky stuff. So yeah, you're partially to blame by just working here, but I can understand the dedication. So why don't you tell me a bit more about what does go on in level 3, I ask. "Are you familiar with the large hadron collider over in Switzerland?" "I've heard the phrase, but that's about it," I say. "It's a powerful particle accelerator," she explains. "Right now they're using it to try and create what's called dark matter. It's theorized that this dark matter actually makes up the majority of the universe, but parts of the universe very different from ours. My guess is the people at the LHC will probably create their first dark matter particle in about 2018 or 2019. Here in this facility, we were able to create one almost 10 years ago. It was the key to our research." Obviously, it has something to do with these things. What does this matter do? That's a good question. "We use dark matter to assist with instantaneous transfer of a subject, but we have yet to perfect it or understand why it works." "So you're saying it lets you gain access to different dimensions?" I ask. "That's the theory," she says. "During the point-to-point transfer, the subjects are gone for about 3 to 6 seconds. There's no way to see or measure their presence, but they exist. Somewhere. From what we can tell, they exist in a kind of void." She probably doesn't know what the place looks like. She probably hasn't gone there. She's still alive and not deformed. "Have you done this with people?" That's a good one. That's what I would ask. "We have sent human subjects through. Almost all of them have returned successfully." I make an involuntary grimace. "Almost?" "There was one man, Dr. Khanna, who didn't return. We don't know where." She trails off, taking a moment to collect herself. "Sorry I asked," I say, feeling my mind starting to bend inward again. As we continue to walk between the silos, we walk past the area where we left Marcus's body. I barely even glanced at his body, still unable to believe that I was responsible for killing him. I also don't want to look at additional damage the monsters caused. A pool of blood and mangled clothes are all I see through the corner of my eye. I realize that we are walking very close together between the silos, perhaps trying to create the illusion of safety. We reach the exit connecting to the hangar doors where Dennis hopefully still is. My guts clench and my heart hammers in my chest as we open the door and walk through. I lift the rifle, but at first it seems that there is nothing waiting for us, and that's when I see the glowing, hulking shape to my left, closing in fast. Please show it, please. Oh, please, why don't you show them? The creature is about 10 feet away and coming in quickly, so I do the first thing that comes to mind. I drop to the ground, making myself a smaller target, and raise the rifle. I'm not sure if I should just unload or try to be choosy with my shots and weaken it, or at least slow it down. Shoot to kill, not shoot to weaken. The beast is less than a foot away from me when I start firing rapidly. I'm not sure which is louder, the gunshot or the high-pitched screeching as the creature staggers. With that, it seems to turn and jerk away, parts of it appearing and disappearing every few feet. It moves down the hall and out of sight. Apparently, even several rounds of bullets are only enough to slow these things down. I look quickly around for others, but there is only Amy. She looks at where the monster went with wide eyes. Her face is pale, and I wonder if, like me, she is able to feel her mind trying to retreat. I'm going to be a little stern here and just get moving. There's no time for that. You okay? Come on, I say. Let's find Dennis and get through these hangar doors. Amy glances at her watch and nods. We're already down to 6 minutes. We turn towards the hangar doors, and I'm a little disgusted with myself because the bloody scene that so shocked me before now seems mild. Amy goes to work on the computer console on the side of the doors. She starts punching in keys before saying, "This is going to take some time." "I thought you already unlocked it," I asked. "I did," she says, "but for this door there's still security permissions I need to hack. Marcus would have known how to do this. Oh, I shouldn't have killed him." She trails off, and I decide to let her work. Suddenly something slams into me. I feel my feet leave the floor, and I'm literally thrown across the concrete. I look up in time to see one of the creatures. It's apparently in no hurry to attack me, again focusing on Amy instead. She's not armed. I need to come up with a plan to get this thing away from her so she can focus on getting the door open. It raises one of its flickering appendages, making me certain that part of its makeup is pure light and energy. I could easily take a shot with my rifle, but my mind again goes to how much remaining ammo I have. The only other thing I can think of is to get it to chase me and lead it away from this room somewhere. I'm going to go with distract the monster and run, because when we shot multiple rounds into the other monster, it just, had a little pain, ran away, So we're going to distract him and run. "Hey," I yell, "right here. Come get me. I'm the one that shot your buddy." It turns to me, and I am again faced with staring at something that has no business in this world, in this reality. Its body gives off a sort of glow around the central part of bulbous core that is branched off into 2 humps, very much like a spider. Again, I sense that this visual information is not accurate, but it's the best my simple mind can do to make sense of this impossible creature. It starts lurching towards me and lets out a shriek of agony that makes my ears feel like they'll explode. Now that I'm sure it's coming after me, I take off running and head into another hallway we haven't been down. I find myself in an industrial-looking area, and I'm pleased to find that the monster has followed me through. Pleased? Okay, you're pleased about that. I guess so, but still. Okay. Looking nice. The room's to be an assortment of old pipes and tanks. I assume some of them run further down into the areas of the facility. With the creature on my tail, I dash into the maze of metal, hoping to lose it. It's definitely having a harder time squeezing through than I am, and that slows it down. Of course, the room's not a cage of any kind. The thing is still heading towards me, shredding through the pipes as it rages. I notice that sometimes it is breaking the steel girders, but other times it just seems like it's somehow merging or changing them. Pipes that were separate are now connected together in a way that makes my head hurt. I finally get a good amount of distance between myself and the creature. I think it's lost my trail. I need to get back to those hangar doors. There's not much time before they close shut. But if I make a sound, that creature could be on my heels again. This is a tough decision now. Thank you, game. Hide and escape quietly, and there's a risk that I won't make it to the hangar. Or run as fast as you can, or I could just alert the creature to my presence and bring it back to Amy in case she's not done hacking the door yet. What would you guys do? I wanna say just run. Because maybe it'll be one of those situations where you run and just like slide under the door, like, I don't know, like Rambo character or something. I don't know. I can't think of any other thing else. Alright, run as fast as you can. There's no time, I think to myself. I have to get moving. With no care of staying silent, I twist myself through some more pipes and make my way back towards the door I entered through. Immediately, the creature picks up on this and turns toward me. But I don't even look back. I slide through this rusted obstacle course and sprint back to the hangar doors. Better have these doors open, Amy. I burst back into the large room and see Amy still working on the computer terminal by the hangar doors. You okay? I ask Amy. I can clearly see her battling for control of her faculties. Steel determination wins out and she gives a grim nod. Any sign of where Dennis went? I ask, hoping she hasn't noticed his body somewhere. No, she replies. It's then that I realize that I have no idea how many rounds I have remaining in the rifle. This isn't a model I'm familiar with. Outside of some deer hunting, I'm not much of an expert on firearms. Still, I'm able to locate the chamber easily and see that there are 4 rounds left. Not great, but it could be worse. How are we on time? I ask her. 4 minutes. I'm going as fast as I can. I was worried how long it would take you to lose that thing. Well, I say, I decided it was better to get back quickly than to... At that moment, the creature screams on the other side of the door. He'll be here in any second. Amy does her best to focus on the keyboard, but there is still no sign of Dennis. Before I have time to look around, a screeching sound erupts from the other end of the room. I bring the rifle up in a shooter's stance and turn around. With the hangar doors right behind me, no signs of Dennis, and a closing window of time, I have to be confident. Yet, when 2 monsters come around the corner, my body wants to shut down. The appendages seem to jump in time and space, reaching out for a split second, independent of the body, and then disappearing back to where they came from. It turns and screeches at me, its glowing tentacles snaking out of its body. My knees tremble uncontrollably. Behind me, Amy shrieks. I feel myself losing control, my mind sliding into the abyss of insanity. I pull myself back from the brink. I've got to stay in control. Turn away or shoot them. Okay, I'm gonna shoot them. I'm not turning away from them. I step away from Amy in the hangar doors and towards the monsters, ready to defend her. I ready my rifle, but the creature wastes no time. It makes that jerky motion towards me, and there's a sharp pain in my chest as it collides with me. Or through me, it's hard to tell. My instinct is to try to grapple or hold this thing down, but then I realize I don't even know if that'll work. Ah, man, those decisions are tough. I mean, most people try to get away and they're all dead. You gotta think of that. The people that were down here, they're all dead. Most of them. And although maybe they tried to fight, but I'm just gonna try to grab the creature. I try to grapple with the creature, but it feels very different from my struggle with Marcus earlier. It's not easily grabbed. My fingers slide through parts of it, some parts like a ghost, others like a jellyfish. Ugh. Touching it burns my hands, but only slightly. When I realize I can't grip it, I quickly spring away and turn to face it. With a scream of defiance, I raise the rifle and put it around in its core. The shot lands dead center, and the light inside of it flickers almost violently. It falls back against the wall, issuing a hiss of its telltale static noise. It then jerks away and retreats, at least for now. Another terror appears as if out of nowhere. screaming at me with its high-pitched whine. It bounced forward, charging in its strange, spastic way. I aimed the rifle, intending to take this one in the core too. I take several shots, but it's still coming at me. As it slams into me, I realize that I only have one bullet left. On contact, the wind is knocked out of my lungs and the back of my head strikes the floor. But neither of these things is as alarming as the fact that the beast is on top of me. Its exterior is like a seashell that has been pounded by the surf for so long that it has lost all edges and ridges. But the grip it tries to capture me with is pure violence. I feel those light-soaked appendages start to wrap around me. I raise the rifle, knowing I still have one shot left. The weight of the monster is erratic. One moment I feel weightless, another I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I push upwards with the rifle to aim, but it's overpowering me. I'm not sure I'd be able to get an effective shot off. I see the core of its body, a spider-like shape, connected to the rest of it by thin white strings of tissue. I know I'll be dead within seconds unless I can manage a shot, but I don't know where to aim. This thing has already survived for so long. If I shoot the tentacles, what good would that do? Shoot for the center, it's overpowering me. Tough decisions. I'm gonna go for the center just because it doesn't make much sense to shoot the tentacle. But although I don't know, so going in this blindly, like I never played this, so the creature is seconds away from tearing into my shoulder. I have to stop it now. I grunt as I try to angle the rifle in the direction of the beast's formless core. The appendages begin tugging down on the barrel, and it's at that moment I pull the trigger, unleashing my final shot. Thank God I saved this bullet earlier. The shot aggravates it enough to win me some breathing room. I've saved my shoulder, but this thing's still alive and kicking. But when I see the creature extend its tentacles in a violent whip-like motion away from me, while it makes that static screeching sound, the creature disappears into thin air and reappears a few feet from me, retreating. With a shudder and a cry of desperation, I get to my feet just in time to see the monster head in the direction of the biochem room. Amy looks over at me from her terminal at the hangar doors, looking petrified. I manage to help myself up when I see another figure nearing us, but to my relief I realize it's a human figure, Dennis with a gun. I gotta give that one a clap, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis is back. You okay, boss? He asks, but his eyes aren't on me. They're looking to the creature, trying to understand exactly what he has just seen. About 15 minutes ago, I heard the door to that maintenance room unlocked, Dennis says, pointing to the room I tried to bust my way into earlier. Ah, Amy says. When I did the override up in the command center, it unlocked all small doors down here, including that maintenance room. I went inside there and hid, Dennis continues, and while I was waiting for you to come back, I found a massive trunk. There were a few guns in it, so I grabbed this one, he says, patting his shotgun. Shotgun will be good. Dennis, you are the man. I'm glad you're safe, Dennis. I'm glad you found some weapons. I'm really glad he's safe. I want to tell him that, but if I say I'm glad you found some weapons, maybe we'll go and get them? Yeah, no problem, he says. Great. Now how is that door coming along? I ask Amy. She makes a few final key presses and says done. The doors open with the noise of hydraulics and a whoosh of air. Dennis, Amy, and I climb up and head through the doors, moving on nothing more than adrenaline. I see her looking longingly at the maintenance room Dennis took the shotgun from. You get into the hangar, Dennis says. I'll get some more firepower. Satisfied with the plan, Amy heads to the door. We scramble inside, finally inside the hangar. Dennis approaches from behind, holding several guns and looking like a kid who grabbed an armful of Halloween candy. Amy reaches out for a 9mm with one hand. Dennis turns to me and holds out a shotgun and a handgun for me to choose. Both look deadly. The shotgun looks more powerful, but the handgun will probably be more precise. We had a rifle. I mean, what is more precise than a rifle? So, I'm going to take the shotgun. And there's spread shot, so I mean, you know, you got the spread shot going for you. You took the shotgun. I take the shotgun to surprise how heavy it feels. but also invigorated by its weight. There are more creatures coming, as many as a dozen. They are floating down the hall quickly, their tentacles slithering. The way their light seems to mingle together is almost beautiful. "Close the door," I yell at Amy. She dashes to another terminal mounted on the side of the hangar doors and tries desperately to close them. "It's not working," she says with tears in her eyes. "This terminal is disabled." Dennis looks to the open doors, readying himself to shoot the first monster that nears us. "Should we try to slow a few down or just run for it?" he asks, his gun at the ready. Alright, well, we can either fire away or run for it. I don't see the point of wasting ammunition here when she can't even close the door. I'm gonna say run for it. "Good idea," says Amy. With that, we turn around and sprint out onto the hangar floor. Here we go. Let's see what this hangar looks like. Nice, nice. The room is enormous, so large to call it a room seems silly. A large concrete floor stretches out below an expensive loft ceiling. The area is mostly empty, except for one side which has rows and rows of metal barrels. Back on the far wall is a lit area that seems to expose more rooms, labs, and machinery. Also in the rear of the hangar I could see some kind of chamber or control center. Dennis and I follow Amy across the hangar floor. Behind us, a series of rough slithering sounds tells us that the creatures have made their way into the hangar. From somewhere up ahead, a loud buzzing noise sounds out. It reminds me of the slight buzzing noise I'd heard in the forest, the noise that got me into all of this trouble in the first place. I look ahead and see that in the far back of the hangar a bright red light is flashing. There's a small hatch or door below the light. That hatch is open and I can see a shape inside it. I can barely make out the figure of a man standing there holding an industrial microphone, and as soon as I see him I hear this huge amplified voice. It blares down over an intercom system and he sounds pissed. "I don't know who the heck you are," he says, "but this is a government facility on lockdown and there are protocols too." I assume that it coincides with the exact moment he sees the creatures. They are making their way through the hangar doors. They're about 20 feet from us and the creatures. I act instinctively, squeezing off 2 shots with the shotgun. The first sprays low, hitting the floor and causing a shower of sparks, but the second shot causes one monster to jerk backwards. It's a good thing that a shotgun is quite forgiving. Amy and Dennis take the cue and start firing as well. The floor becomes littered with swirling white fluid from the wounded creatures' bodies, but they are not slowing down. The alarm keeps shrieking behind us, and when I turn to see if anything has changed back there, I trip over my feet. I hit the ground hard and in an almost comic fashion slide several feet across the floor. From the ground I see that we have managed to turn back 4 of them, but I also see that my estimate of a dozen is off. There are at least 20 of them. They're sick, dim light, sinister and gloomy. Their appendages seem to bind together as they come forward. My only hope of survival is that the man in the far doorway has somehow shut that hangar doors. His voice comes blaring over the intercom again, broken by the booming noise of the gunfire that we are laying down. "Run here, towards the isolation chamber." I'm not sure how much time we have. I realize that I can't sprint ahead of Amy and Dennis, or I can sprint ahead of Amy and Dennis, or I can hang back and give them cover. Why would you leave your mates behind, you know? I'm gonna cover them. Go inside with that guy, as I say. I'll make sure we don't have any of those things right on our tails. I'll hold them back for a while. I know it sounds macho, but it also feels like the right thing to do. I have to at least try to give us some kind of chance for escape. So as Amy and Dennis run through the doors, I blast at the next thing that I see moving. All I get from my troubles is that static-like hiss and a high-pitched whistling noise. I'm able to beat them back a bit, forcing them to scatter. Each flicker of light is a small victory. If nothing else, I'm buying Amy and Dennis time. When I'm certain there is nothing more I can do, I turn and run. I hustle quickly, catching up to Amy and Dennis, who stop and turn to provide me with cover fire. Thanks, guys. There, Amy says, pointing to the small door where the man was standing earlier. The swarm is less than 15 feet away now, so furious that they are pushing through one another to get to us. I fire still, not quite used to the kick of the shotgun. I aim for the core of one, but the shot hits low. Still, it knocks the bastard back, giving me time to readjust. We are in the middle of the hangar floor now, with the isolation chamber ahead and the monsters behind. Beside me, Dennis also fires. The kick of the gun jolts him, probably a result of him being weakened from the blood loss. His shot lands true, though causing a jerking stumble and a flickering of its light. We're almost in, Amy yells. As we get close to the door we hope will save us. I'm going to let them go first. Women and the injured first. Get inside, I tell Amy and Dennis, motioning for them to get moving with my gun. I open the door and give Dennis a push toward it. He resists, more eager to try, taking down another one of the beasts before he makes it to safety, but he eventually gives in. I wait a beat to make sure Amy's inside too. I fire a few rounds on the creatures that are still headed for us, hoping to slow them down. When Amy and Dennis clear the door, I nearly dash inside, but then feel something hot seep into my back. Roger, Dennis yells. The pain in my back is so immense that I barely notice the fact that I am being lifted from the floor. I look down and see that one of the creatures is using his flowing arms to grab me by my waist, its tentacles wrapping around me. It lifts me into the air as if presenting me as a trophy to its friends. I can't angle the shotgun to fire off a round, so I bring the stock of it down the monster's translucent smooth body. It's like striking at fog. My attack has very little effect. As it continues to hoist me up, screeching its approval, Dennis comes back out of the room and fires off a shot. The bullet catches the monster on the underside of its core, sending it backwards and causing it to freeze for a moment. It realizes me, and I hit the ground, dropping my gun and again finding myself unable to breathe. I feel slightly dizzy, but that fades when I see Dennis is still standing outside of the door. He's firing into the beast like a madman and doesn't see the one to his left coming in along the edge of the wall. Push him out of the way, or Dennis, look out. Oh my goodness, these decisions are just a killer. Oh, Dennis, I don't want Dennis to die. I really don't. Push him out of the way. I've been Macho Man this long. I try to dash towards Dennis to push him out of the way, but there's not enough time. I should have yelled. Dang it! The creature jerks out of existence and then reappears right behind him. By the time Dennis turns and sees the creature coming, it has already drawn several of its appendages back to strike. Dennis tries to raise his gun, but it's knocked away by one of the tentacles. A second tentacle strikes and Dennis is spun around and thrown off balance by the attack. Dennis catches himself before falling. A third tentacle wraps around Dennis's forearm, and I can see it squeeze, tightening instantly. The tip of the appendages passes clean through his hand, its blood-soaked tip poking out through his palm. Dennis's face grimaces with pain as he tries to wrench his arm free, but the creature's tentacle has his hand speared like a nail through wood. In a moment of dark clarity, I realize that I can free him with a clean shot at the monster's tentacle, but it would likely mean blowing Dennis's hand off. Dennis, I yell over the creature's high-pitched static sound. Can you get free? I have a shot. Maybe. No, Dennis gasps as the creature tosses him around by his hand like a puppet. Don't shoot. I can get free. I can't tell if he's right, but the other monsters are starting to encircle him. I need to act fast. Oh my goodness, do I shoot Dennis's hand off? I don't know. Or I wait for Dennis to get away. I don't want Dennis to die. Maybe he'll appreciate this later. I'm sorry, Dennis. You decide to take Dennis's hand to save him. If I don't take the shot while I have it, they are going to kill him. In a last-ditch effort, I try to get a good shot on the monster, but there is none. It'll hurt I'll hurt Dennis even worse if I try. I take aim and fire off a shot. The shot lands perfectly and results in a lot of blood and screams from both Dennis and the creature. Dennis's hand disappears into a spray of red, and the monster's appendage simply fades away. It literally seems to wink out of existence. The creature screeches while Dennis hits the floor, wailing in pain. The reality of what I have done sets in and nearly paralyzes me. "Get him," Amy says. "I'll cover you." I nod, still reeling from the sight of what I've done to Dennis. I stumble out of the door. Amy is true to her word. She fires off a few rounds into the approaching monsters. As I make it to Dennis, I grab a hold of him with my good arm. I drag him backwards as fast as I can, nearly falling down in the process. When I reach the doorway, Amy reaches down and helps me drag his body the final few feet into the room. She manages to pull off another shot. When I look to see what she has hit, I see another dozen or so of the monsters. Dennis is writhing in pain, and when he looks up to me, he is sneering. "You crazy age," he screams. He shudders violently, sweat and tears coursing down his pale face. Amy slams the door behind us. Finally, we are inside the room, hopefully safe within what looks to be an isolation chamber of sorts. Along the frame, a little electrical lock beeps as the door is secured. End of chapter 4. That got pretty good. It wasn't so long this time. I really enjoyed that chapter. Keeping Dennis alive was really great. Dennis just seems like a boss, man. He's good. You know, he's like the tough guy. He's like, I don't know, he's like the Daryl from The Walking Dead to me, or like Rick, you know. So pretty much a badass. So I mean, I like to keep him around now that I shot his hand off. He may be less effective, but seems like a great guy to keep around. So we're gonna look at my decision making compared to everyone else. And then tomorrow we'll have up chapter 5, which I believe is the final chapter, unless they come out with anything else. Self-control. You and 51% of players shot to kill the creature instead of just to weaken it. So that is pretty close. That is almost 50-50, but I still was in the top. Alright, keep them at bay. You and 41% of players distracted the creature instead of shooting it. So I didn't choose what everybody else did there in the top percent. Weapon of choice. You and 43% of players took the shotgun instead of the handgun. If I would have taken the handgun now, I do think that maybe Dennis might still have his hand, but I'm not sure. This is a game you could play over and over again. I just want to make that clear. You could play this game over and over and over and over and over. Make different decisions, have different outcomes, you know? Judgment call. You and 57% of players disobeyed Dennis's wishes to not shoot, causing him to lose his hand. So, 57%, that's pretty good. It's in the top. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. Please give me your feedback in those comments of what decisions you would have made and have not made. Also, please be sure to subscribe and give me any other feedback you may have about this game. And also give the thumbs up. I love them. And share with your friends if you think they'll like this. We're through chapters 1 through 4 if you haven't seen them already. And I'm going to have a playlist of this up, and as they get done, I'll keep adding them to this playlist. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy your YouTube watching and video game playing, whatever you like to do, and just be safe out there, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow for part 5, which I'm sure will be fantabulous. Bye bye.